that has been the biggest problem over the last 12 years because whenever you introduce a new science, you get a lot of resistance. But you got to understand, we've been after this almost 14 years, really, and we're at the point now we will overcome all the potential negative, because the science, because what we've been doing is just working, and we're showing there's too many pieces of the puzzle now. It's too easy for us to disclose what we're doing, and all you need is just a good college lab, and they're going to be able to replicate everything we do. But so that's another reason why we've been filing patents. We want to have patents in place, and we're trying to establish some of the best attorneys and the best patent houses around, because we really don't want to. There's no way that we could ever get into the business of using this in all its applications, because it's just too vast. It's kind of, I always say it's like the discovery of the transistor. You have a transistor that was created, that changed all of electronics. Prior to the transistor, electronics really couldn't happen. The camera that's being used right now to film me could not have happened without the transistor. It's just, our life would not be the same. So the transistor changed all of electronics. And I really think that the discovery of a stable water cluster, which is what this is, being a charged molecule, can actually be as basic of a science. It's like a paradigm shift.
I was just going to make that comment. This is just like a very serious paradigm shift.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because really what you're looking at is you're looking at the fact that prior to this point, chemistry was used to create the charges that you need to get something done. For instance, you don't want to wash your clothes, okay? So what do? Well, now you go to the store and you buy a box of Tide, or you buy a box of Bold, or you buy one of these. But the reality is, what you're buying is you're buying a bunch of hydrocarbons. You're buying a massive long chain of kind of stuff that it really ends up in the not a good thing to have in an environment. It's changed our whole the ecology of our ocean and our freshwater systems. But why do you do that? Because you need charges, different charges, all arranged differently to go after dirt. Because that's, you wash your clothes, you throw them in the washer. Well, how does the dirt come out? Well, what happens is these things called surfactants, which are in detergents, come and they find your dirt and they go, oh, this has got a charge here, and it's got a charge here, and it's got a charge here. And so they get all these on there, and all of a sudden the charge neutralizes and it drops away from your clothes. Because what's stuck there is the charge. So the moment you neutralize the charge, it goes away. What if you could do it with a water particle? You can with these things. You actually could create some phenomenal surfactants with these. So it's just another area. Every time you and I talk, I'll give you a new idea of where this can go, because detergents is an area. Many different catalytic processes in industry can be changed by having a clean catalyst. And a catalyst is simply an electrical, sort of little electrical device. And what this is, it's almost like a charged little battery. So you pour out the water on your lap, and it looks like water, but inside there we've manufactured a whole series of little charged batteries that this one can go this work, and this can do that work, and this one will do this, and this one will do that. So it's just it's kind of a remarkable thing.
I actually grew up in Hong Kong, had my high school education there, and then I got my PhD at University of Chicago in theoretical physics. And at that time, the theory group is under the leadership of Professor Yasuro Nambu, who got a Nobel Prize in physics last year. And we are very exciting in graduate school. Many of my schoolmates are very good. One is Daniel Chui. He actually also got a Nobel Prize in physics. Yes, it's true. When I studied the water cluster, and then this cluster has positive and negative charge, and it actually corresponds to the yin and yang in Chinese medicine. So I figured out it has to do with acupuncture. So I spent a couple years in the year 2000 around there to work out the quantum field theory for acupuncture and health. And the molecular basis for meridian in Chinese medicine is really made up of stable water cluster, the things that we are working at. So we are really very excited on that, because that laid the modern foundation for Chinese medicine. Otherwise, Chinese medicine has its own internal logic, but it's only explainable in ancient language, not in the modern scientific language. So I'm very happy that I actually formulate that, and in the last 8 years, I actually accumulate again and again evidence for it. I actually even become a professor of research in Chinese medicine, and I take on PhD students in acupuncture. And based on my hypothesis that meridians are made of stable water cluster. In fact, life come up from water cluster. This is my elaboration of the idea of water, life come from water, that every civilization has. So we now say the life actually come from stable water cluster. That is the fundamentals of Chinese medicines. And in the last several years, we actually make many experiments as well as clinical tests on it. And we have also Dr. Norman Shilley to do the clinical tests on helping healthy people to improve his immune system. Well, the last 3 or 4 weeks, we actually succeed in producing large quantity of the stable water class in solid that you can see with your naked eyes. So we always say that this stable water cluster is actually stable at room temperature at normal pressure. Everybody knows that ice melt at room temperatures. Ice is one phase of water. But we discover another phase of water that is stable in room temperature and normal pressure. But this stability is actually in solid form. So when I first formulate, I call it I sub E, it's say ice form under electric field. And then in last several weeks, we actually find them in a large quantity. You actually can see it in powder form, and now actually in a size of that size. So we are really very happy that all this come to fruitions right from beginning, the first paper I wrote. We started seeing in microscope, and then last few weeks we actually can see it with your naked eye. So this is really very important to convince everyone that we actually discover something fundamental about water. We actually find a stable water cluster which is in solid phase of H2O, 2 hydrogen, 1 oxygen. And it's very stable. If it's not so stable, then it cannot do the catalytic reaction in the engine. We actually put it in the oven and cook it up to 300 degrees and still stable. And if it's not stable, then you can't be meridians, all right? Because we are relying for meridian to live. In Chinese medicine, meridian is the most fundamental things. If your meridian is gone, you're dead. So basically, the stability of this water class is crucial for life. So basically, the catalytic reaction on the field is easiest because it doesn't require a government like FDA to approve. But eventually, life, health is the concern of everybody, more than your cars, right? So,
Yes.
so more than the environment, because it's your life, it's the life of humanity to go forward. So I like more and more people work in the life science and on these water clusters. But before it go forward, of course, we have to understand the total physics, fundamental of the physics as well as the chemistry. I'm a theoretical physicist, of course. I also want to have far more theoretical study on the water cluster. Well, this conference is held in Lanzhou. It's in the west part of China. Of all Chinese in the world, physicists have this organization. We met about once in 3 years, continuously since 1980s. So I'm one of the founding members there. So I'd like to present it, the result to physicists in China, because it, especially since it's related to Chinese medicines, I think we like more fundamental work done in China as well as in the rest of the world. So.
Well, thank you very, very much.